is hopefully a short video. You didn't have to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to show you the zero pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have 4 positives. So remember what you did with the chips today, right? It's just for you to visualize. That's equal to 0, that's equal to 0, that's equal to 0, and that's equal to 0. So I was able to form 4 zero pairs, and therefore my answer is -2. Now, another thing that somebody mentioned today in class was the sign. If you're adding, and you're wondering what sign to take the absolute value of each number. The absolute value of -6 is 6. The absolute value of 4 is 4, right? And in this case, so the sum will have the sign of the number with the greater absolute value, which in this case is this guy here. So your answer is going to be negative, and then -6 plus 4 would be 2. So in this here, thinking about the absolute value of 7 is 7, the absolute value of -3 is 3, the one with the greater absolute value is this guy over here, so we know our answer is going to be positive. Can we make zero pairs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. That's a zero pair, that's a zero pair, and that's a zero pair. What am I left over with? 4 positive. In this case here, right, it's -4 and -4. So think about what's happening here. We're moving further left, so to a negative number, we're adding another negative number. Can we make zero pairs? No, we can't make zero pairs here. So in this case, we have 2 groups of negative numbers, and we're going to end up with a larger group of negative numbers. So that's going to be -8. Likewise, this. Well, this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we make zero pairs? Yeah, we can. So this is a zero pair, that's a zero pair, that's a zero pair, that's a zero pair, and this is zero pair. So we end up with 0. Okay, so again, you didn't have to draw, because I didn't ask you to draw. I'm just asking you, I'm just doing it just to show you the visual. This one is actually asking you to regular draw. So in your notebook or on the sheet itself, 2 negatives, and then we're combining that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're combining these 2 groups, right? We're adding. And a negative plus a negative, we already, as you noticed today, yeah, a negative plus a negative will always be a negative. In this case, -11. Can we make zero pairs out of this? We can't. So we end up having a larger group of negatives. Plus 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 positives, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Can we make zero pairs? Well, yeah, here's a zero pair, another. Right, so we can make 10 pairs of zero pairs. What do I have left over at the end? -2. Okay. -8 plus 8, again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, you're not going to be asked to draw initially. It's just for you to see what's happening here. So again, can we make zero pairs? Yeah, we can. This, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those zero pairs have a value of 0. So you end up having 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 8 times, right? Because they all equal to 0. So our answer is 0. Now, -3 plus what number equals 1? So think about this. Here's -3. After I make zero pairs, I need to have 1 positive as my answer. So what can I add to -3 so that my answer is 1? Well, and the answer to that would be 4 positive. So I need to add 1 addition, 1 positive number, so I can make a zero pair with this guy. I need to add another positive number to make a zero pair with this guy. I need to add another positive number to make a zero pair with this guy, and I have 1 left over. So how many positives must I add to -3? Well, it would be +4. Give 3 possible combinations of integers that are added to equal to 0. Is that right? So we can make, there's so many jumps. So let's just do, I don't know, 4 + 4 plus -4. Negative 8 plus positive 8, negative 2,593 plus positive 2,593. That also will be equal to 0, right? Because I make 0 pairs and they will all add up to 0. Can I give an example? One negative integer added to positive integer, that results negative 12. So I need to, this is what they're asking. Something, a negative integer, plus a positive has to result in negative 12. So, therefore, well, I know that the absolute value of the negative number is going to be greater than the positive one. So, I don't know. Let's pick a very decent sized number. Let's pick negative 35. What can I add to negative 35? Right? What positive number can I add to negative 5 so that it equals to negative 12? So, out of the negative 35, I'm going to make quite a few number of positive, 0 pairs, and I'm going to have negative 12 left. So from negative 35, I'm going to, let me just take that away for a second. So I'm not going to use a sign. From 35, I'm going to make a bunch of 0 pairs so that I have 12 left over, right? So to that, how many positives will I add? Well, I can add 23. Right? So if I add negative 35 and 23, would that give me negative 12? Yeah, it can. A positive integer added to a positive will always be positive, right? A negative integer added to a negative integer, right? A negative, so if you're already on the left side of the number line, you're negative, and we add another negative on top of that, we're decreasing in value, and we're going further left. So a negative plus a negative will always, and we can add the word always be negative. The positive integer added to a negative will equal either 0, positive, or negative. So we got 3 possible sums that can happen here. And that will always depend on the positive number, right? The negative number, their absolute values, right? If their absolute values are the same, then the answer is going to be 0. If the positive number has a greater absolute value, then it's going to be positive. Or if the negative number has a greater negative absolute value, then the sum will be negative. Check for understanding. It's not asking you to draw anything. So this one I know it's a negative plus a negative, so I know my answer is negative. We're going to do this tomorrow, but think about a number line. So here's negative 8, right? So, sorry, I should say negative 13. So if you're negative 13 and I'm adding another negative 8, I'm actually telling you to walk further that way. How many steps? Negative 8 steps. So if I take negative 8 steps further to the left, I'm going to end up at negative 21. 7 plus negative 15, again, if you look at the numbers and you can tell that the absolute value of negative 15 is greater, so I know my answer is negative. Right, so think about a number line, and again, we'll do that tomorrow. So actually, let me not do the number line because we're doing that tomorrow. Let me think about 0 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can make a 0 pair, 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 right? So that all becomes 0. So what do I have left over? I have this group of negative numbers left over, which is negative 8. If a number is increased by 7, the result is negative 5. What was the result? What was the starting number? To me, it helps. Here's a number. I'll leave it a blank, or if you want to write x, right, to represent the number that we don't know. Increased plus 7, and the answer is negative 5. So what do I have to add to 7 so that my sum is negative 5? Well, first of all, we know this number has to be negative, right? I'm adding 2 integers, and the answer is negative, so I know that this integer has to have its absolute value is greater than 7. So the distance away from 0 is greater than 7, right? So this one is 7 units away, so this one has to be, well, obviously 12 units away. Okay, so that's that. Which value for b will result in the greatest sum? Well, -8 plus -8. So if I add -8 plus -8, I get 0. Sorry, -16, I apologize. If I add -8 plus 9, I'm going to get +1. If I add -8 plus -1, I'm going to get -9. So let me just rewrite this as 16. -16. If I add -8 plus 0, I get -8. So which of these 4 choices gives me the greatest sum? B. Adding -8 to +9 gives me 1, which is the sum with the greatest value. 2-3 minutes. Okay. The temperature in Flushing at 8 a.m. -14. By noon, the temperature increased by 15 degrees. So what's the final temperature? So think about it. And again, let's set this up. I start with -14. I'm adding, because we're increasing, so I'm adding this particular value to it. And my answer is 15. So a lot of ways you can solve this. You can use an equation. You can think about what do you call? You can use the 0 pairs. So what can I add to -14 so that it gives me 15? So I know I have to add enough to make 0 pairs, right? Enough to make 14 0 pairs, and then have 15 left over. So if you think about that, I need 14 positive numbers so that I can make 0 pairs with these guys, and on top with a negative, and on top of that, have 15 left over. So if you think about that, well, if you add these two, the 14 positive integers that I have to combine with a -14 to make 0 pairs, and then on top, and then have 15 left over. So 14 and 15 would give me 29. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Represent each statement with an integer. So we had a little discussion about this. Is Tim placed 29 crayons on the table? Well, is he losing 29? So in that case, it would be -29. If we put it on the table is gaining 29 crayons. So let's just think it as positive, right? I mean, if that said that Tim lost 29 crayons, then I agree with you, negative. So as far as for now, positive 29 fell, so we're going to do negative. Pay $27 fine. So if you're paying a fine, you're obviously losing money. Lost 17 quarters, -17 quarters. Linda agreed 5 inches, so +5. Found 8 seashells, +8. Now, this question is a little bit interesting. So the top of the mountain is, so I'll put a number line over here. The top of the mountain is 1,281. So we're going to write plus 1,281. Okay. The valley, and there's a valley here, at the bottom of this valley is 723 feet below sea level. Let me just write sea level there. So I'm going to represent that as -23. They're asking you for the distance between those 2 points. So if you're on top of the mountain and I'm at the bottom of this valley, how far away are we from each other? Well, it's not the diagonal line, but this line right here, right? So what is that distance? 2 ways you can solve this. You could have done 1,281 minus -723, right? So 1,281 plus, you could have, again, if you did this like you did last year and change the subtraction to addition, right? We add, so the subtraction problem becomes an addition, and we add to that, we add the additive inverse of -723, which is +23, and you get whatever answer you get. So let's see, 4, 10, 1, 11. Okay. Another way you could have done this, well, we know this is 0, right? So we can do the absolute value of 1,281, which is the distance between 0 to the top of the mountain, plus the other distance, which is from 0 to the bottom of the value, right? And because distance is not negative, we're going to use the absolute value. So again, we end up having 1,281 plus 723 because we're adding their distances, right? And hopefully, sorry, I missed something here. I think 1,904. 4, 10 equals 1. No, sorry, I added this wrong. My apologies. 4, 10, 1, 10. So 2004. So either way, we get 2004. Okay. I still think that if you write an expression, this can come in handy. So if you're on the 12th, your starting point is the 12th floor, positive 12. It goes down. So two ways of writing, two ways you can go. So you can write minus 27, but because we did addition today, this is where I'm going down. So I'm going to represent this as going down as plus negative 27, and then up 8, 4 plus 8. So that would be the expression I would have used based on today, right? Because we did adding integers. So this ends up being, so if you're in the 12th floor, you go down to negative 27, you're actually down negative 15. And then if you go up 8, you end up being on the negative 7th floor. It's a huge building. James has positive, so he has money in his bank, so we'll write it as positive 53. He spends 89, and again, because we did addition today, I'm going to write plus negative 89. If you actually did this, notice that you will get the same answer. So he's going to be in the negative territory, so it's going to be negative 33. No, 36. That's how much money he has. In this case, he owes. It's 5 degrees outside. That's the starting temperature. It will drop 18 degrees for the next few hours. What will be the temperature then? Again, plus negative 18. That gives us negative 13. Or if you did 5 minus 18, that's okay too. You'd still get negative 13. Scuba diver swam 96 feet below sea level, so that means that he currently is at this, right? Here's the water, and here's the scuba diver. He's gonna go up, plus, and then we're gonna, to that we're gonna add a positive integer because he's going up. That's gonna be 35. And he's not at the surface yet, but he's going to go up a little bit, and this is his new location. And it's going to be negative 61. So where is he? How deep is he now? He's a little bit closer to the surface, negative 61 feet. Okay. All right, and that's that.